Okay, welcome guys. This time intake manifold to remove. That's probably the most painful job apart of, for example, engine removal, but that's one of the most painful jobs to do if you want to do intake manifold gasket or any jobs related to cooling or anything. Oh, the biggest job after that is starter. To get to starter you have to probably remove this one, so it's not easy. It's very fiddly, time consuming and just terrible. And you probably don't have that much access as I do, because my engine is out and it's on the stand, and I already remove wiring harness, so it's easy to say for me. But however, I'm gonna show you where are the bolts, and we're gonna talk some later about the intake manifold itself. So first thing is 16, I think 16 millimeter socket, one big nut on the bottom just below the throttle body, which is holding the manifold on the bottom. This is a bracket for manifold, and then there's probably a few, I don't know how many, maybe 10. I'm gonna show you in a minute how many bolts on top. One you can see is here and rest over there. Okay, so more bolts on top. It's 9 of them. Socket number 11. However, one is gonna be tricky because it's below the fuel line, so I will probably use a spanner, but others are gonna do with my ratchet. I'm gonna show you a quick tip how to remove bolts or nuts if they are quite deep, some are deep, and you are afraid of losing them into the engine bay. So what you basically do, just grab a piece of paper, stick it like that, so next time you grab a nut it should stay on. Or piece of sticky tape. Or anything which gonna lock the nut with the socket. Oh, come on. And now I need to get my 11mm spanner, so bear with. Okay, I'm back. That's the last nut. Okay. As we know, this engine is very old. This bracket is holding, so 10mm socket and 2 small screws. Okay. Oh, the manifold is off. In a minute I'm gonna explain you the difference between this manifold, which is M52 TU, and M54. So give me a second. But before I gonna inspect the manifold, I'm just gonna crank the engine to show you guys how the valves are moving, and you can hear some compression noises, exhaust, intake. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the best position of my camera. Okay, so now we can do some more review about the intake. Okay, this is the manifold. This is the gasket side, which is like silicone gasket. This is your injector. So guys, the biggest difference between this manifold and M54, it's that shape. M54 have a exact shape of the port, of the intake port, same as this shape of this gasket. But as you can see, that shape in M52 TU is like more like oval shape. M54 have a flat bottom, so it's like letter C lying on the floor. Also, what's this? Maybe most of you don't know. This is the idle port. When your engine is idling, this is where the air is sucked. Not here. This is where the throttle body is open. This is where the air goes. But this is only on idle. I'll show you where the port is on the cylinder head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some close-ups. As you can see, the valves are clean, the ports are clean. So this is advantage over the direct injection engines, so your port's never gonna be messy. Okay, so that's the main difference. Most of you probably know this bit. That's the not very famous CCV valve. Sludge, build up, gunk, but it's not the main problem which is causing high oil consumption in your M54. This may fail, but if it's working, it's doing its job. It's made of plastic, so it will fail in one point, like this hose. It's so soft, as you can see. With higher vacuum it will probably collapse. This is a drain hose going to the dipstick tube, so any heavy stuff like oil goes back and end up in the oil pan. Lighter stuff like fumes, water vapors goes back through this hose into this bit. Which is connected with the manifold just before the injection, and it's mixed with the air, so it's combusted with other gases and your fuel. This is another part. However, this one shouldn't fail. It's just heat insulation, which is bad, but this plastic hose is still good. So the most common problem is the membrane in the valve, and also these hoses are gonna show you how they crack over time. They just turn into plastic. However, this one's still quite good, but the noise is not very promising. So if the CCV valve fails, if that membrane fails, it may suck the oil from the pan back to the intake. There's few videos on YouTube where the guy showing engine filled with oil. All the combustion chambers are filled with oil. However, he was lucky to stop the engine on time. Otherwise, game over. So yeah, and another thing I'm gonna show you in a minute. I just need to turn this manifold upside down again. Okay, now I'm gonna show you some common problems with the intake, a part of CCV valve, which is very common. If you type BMW CCV on your web search engine, you're gonna find loads. Like any car, intake are made of usually plastic or rubber, and this is also known part for failing, which is the intake boot just before the throttle body. This part goes to throttle body, and this part goes to idle control valve, which is located just above the throttle body, same as M54. What's happening over time, and especially when you live in hot climate countries, that rubber just fails here, just cracks. However, this one looks good. Oh, it's just starting, but that's nothing. So if you're having problems like vacuum leak, check this. Check your CCV system, which is crankcase ventilation. Check any, I showed you before, any things like this, small vacuum hoses, any rubber parts, and also like I mentioned before, these valve have a O-ring. I'm gonna show you, just bear with me 1 second. These valve have a O-ring around which is very common also for leaking air, vacuum leaks. Just let me remove it, I show you. Two screws, torque screws, Torx I mean. Oh, a surprise. However, I'm not sure if that's original or not, but usually the aftermarket seals, which you can buy for nothing, they are green. I'm not sure with this engine if they are stock or not. Maybe someone did remove that before, or it's stock. I'm not sure, but if it's not, M54 have a same seal, which is like injected here rather than a separate seal. So if you have a M54 and you have a leak over here, you're buying new seal, you have to remove old material out and put new on and push it in, and that's it. Now I'm gonna show you some close-ups from the M52 TU intake, which I think doesn't burn any oil. I already can see it's a lot of difference between my engine and this one. It's a lot cleaner. It's not so bad as mine was, probably due to oil burning issue. So another thing you can do yourself without removing intake manifold is to clean your throttle body. There's probably 1 million videos how to do it about BMW or any other car, any other engine. This improves throttle response on lower RPM, and also you can clean idle control valve, which is making a lot of difference when you clean it. Some simple stuff, but they helps. So okay, there's another thing you can do. However, this is a little bit more difficult. Maybe for some people, for some it might be just simple stuff. What you can do, especially when you're buying a car like this one and you chasing like rough idle or poor fuel economy, any issues related to the engine operations, what you can do, just take out the injectors and send them to professionals to clean them. You can't imagine how big difference it's gonna make to your car, especially when we're talking about rough idle and acceleration. So I don't recommend using any fuel additives. You can use them, but they won't give you immediate effect. That's gonna take forever, and you have to use it actually every tank filling. So the best way is to spend about £100 and do it once and properly. So that's my advice. There's one method to do that at home. Probably I'm gonna make video about that, but not now. Later, when I'm gonna probably finish with stripping down this engine, showing you more good bits. So yeah, that's another good advice. Just send your injectors to professionals and enjoy the car. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're gonna subscribe and stay to see more good videos about stripping down M52 TU. So thanks for watching.